My sister-in-law lost her baby and decided mine should replace it, so she and my brother started planning to raise my son, while my mom helped them research legal ways to prove I was an unfit mother, until I got a restraining order. I'm Karen 26F and I just had my first child 3 weeks ago. My son, Daniel, is perfect and healthy. My husband, Phil, 28 meters, and I have been together for 5 years and married for 2. We both work in tech and live about 4 hours away from my family. The problem started when I announced my pregnancy at 6 months. My brother Herbert, 32 meters, and his wife Sarah, 29, have been trying to have kids for 3 years. Sarah had 2 miscarriages in the first year, then nothing for a while. Last December, she got pregnant and made it to 7 months before losing the baby. It was devastating for both of them. When I told the family about my pregnancy, Sarah immediately left the room. Herbert followed her, and they didn't come back. My mom, Rachel 58F, told me later that Sarah cried for hours that night. I understood her pain, but I couldn't hide my pregnancy forever. Things got weird after that. Sarah started sending me articles about pregnancy complications and stillbirths. She would call my mom asking detailed questions about my health and my doctor visits. When I went home for Christmas, she kept touching my belly without asking and making comments about how she would take care of the baby better than anyone. My mom raised Herbert and me after our dad died when I was 12. She's always been protective of both her kids, but she has a soft spot for Herbert because he stayed close to home while I moved away for college and work. She also adores Sarah and treats her like the daughter she never had. After Christmas, my mom started having strange conversations with me. She would ask if Phil and I were really ready for parenthood, since we both work long hours. She questioned whether we had enough money saved and whether our apartment was big enough. She kept bringing up how Sarah works part-time from home and would have more time for a baby. I thought she was just worried about me being a first-time mom so far from family. Then in February, when I was 8 months pregnant, she called me with a proposal that made my blood run cold. She said Sarah was having a really hard time since her loss. The grief counselor suggested that being around babies might help her heal. My mom wondered if Sarah could come stay with us for a few weeks after Daniel was born to help with the baby and bond with him. I told her absolutely not. That's when she revealed the real plan. My mom said Sarah and Herbert had been discussing adoption options, but they were expensive and had long waiting lists since I was young and had my whole career ahead of me. Maybe it would be better if Sarah and Herbert raised Daniel. They had a house with a yard. Sarah could be a stay-at-home mom, and they were more mature and financially stable. I hung up on her. Phil was working late that night. I sat in our nursery looking at all the things we had bought for our son and tried to process what had just happened. My own mother was suggesting I give away my baby to my brother's wife. The call started the next day, not just from my mom, but from Herbert too. He said Sarah was barely eating or sleeping. She had turned the spare room into a nursery and was buying baby clothes. He was worried about her mental health, and thought having a baby to care for might save her. He actually said I would be helping Sarah heal and giving Daniel a better life. At the same time, he pointed out that Phil and I weren't even married yet, that we lived in a small apartment, and that we both worked 60-hour weeks. How could we possibly give a child the attention he deserved? I told Herbert that Phil and I were planning to get married before the baby came, and that plenty of working parents raise healthy, happy children. He said I was being selfish and that family should help family. The pressure intensified over the next few weeks. My mom would call crying about how Sarah was wasting away with grief. My Aunt Carol 54F, my mom's sister, started calling too. She said the whole family was worried about Sarah and that I had the power to help her. Sarah herself never called me directly, but she started commenting on all my social media posts. When I posted a picture of the nursery, she commented about how she had the same crib picked out. When I posted about baby clothes shopping, she said she had already bought outfits in newborn and 3-month sizes. The breaking point came when I was 38 weeks pregnant. Sarah and Herbert showed up at our apartment unannounced on a Saturday morning. Phil was at the grocery store, so I was alone when I answered the door. Sarah pushed past me and went straight to the nursery. She started rearranging things and talking about how she would set everything up at their house. She had brought a car seat and said she wanted to make sure it was installed correctly for when they took Daniel home. I told her she needed to leave. That's when she broke down completely. She got on her knees in the nursery and begged me to let her have my baby. She said, God took her son away because she was meant to have mine. She promised she would let me visit and be involved in his life. Herbert tried to calm her down, but she was screaming about how it wasn't fair that I got to have a healthy baby when I didn't even want one as she did. She said I was too young and selfish to be a good mother. I called the police. By the time they arrived, Phil was back and had gotten Sarah to stop screaming. The officers took statements, but said it was a family matter. They suggested we get a restraining order if we felt unsafe. That same day, Phil and I went to the courthouse and got married. We needed to make sure our parental rights were clear and that my family couldn't try to interfere legally. Daniel was born 2 weeks later. We didn't tell my family I was in labor. My mom found out through a mutual friend who saw Phil's post on social media announcing the birth. The call started immediately. My mom was crying about missing her grandson's birth. Herbert was angry that we hadn't included them, but it was Sarah's reaction that worried me most. She called from Herbert's phone, and when I answered, thinking it was him, she started talking about how excited she was to finally meet her son. She said she had his room already and had taken time off work to be with him full time. I realized she truly believed Daniel was going to be hers. Phil and I made the decision to go no contact with my family for now. We blocked their numbers and made our social media accounts private. My mom has been sending letters and packages to our apartment building, but we returned them unopened. I found out through a cousin that Sarah has been telling people in their church that we're going through a difficult time and that they're planning to adopt our baby.